Hi, it's Kit Allowitz. Welcome to another segment of the Leadership Journey. Briefly, I will be introducing Cliff Parsons. Cliff is going to talk about psychological safety in the workplace, even in the best of times, which is right where we're at. I'd like to warm you up just briefly about what psychological safety is. I think it's a fascinating topic. We're talking about feeling safe in the workplace from a psychological level. Now, what does that look like? If you look at the textbook definition of psychological safety, in fact, I ran across this topic when I saw a study that Google had done over multiple years. It's called Aristotle. And the definition of psychological safety is nothing more than the sense of belonging to a team with the opportunity to interact with its members and contribute to its purpose without fear, without feeling punished or being rejected. And what the Aristotle Project found over multiple years in terms of what is the highest set of circumstances that can lead to the highest performance output by teams and organizations, they found that as psychological safety, in fact, was the variable that they found was most important. When psychological safety is low, it triggers things like fear and self-censoring instincts in people to divert their energy, and this is fascinating, away from things like being effective and instead focus on things like risk management, self-preservation, and pain avoidance. The final statement I have for you is when psychological safety is high, people engage, right? Not even a no-brainer, but common sense, but not common practice. They release their discretionary efforts, they challenge the status quo, and they create more value. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Cliff Parsons talking about psychological safety in the workplace, even in the best of times. Take it away, Cliff.
Hello, my name is Cliff Parsons, and psychological safety is extremely important now more than ever. But before we get into that, some of you may be wondering, what even is psychological safety? Well, luckily, Google had that answer. Psychological safety is a shared belief held by members of a team that the team is safe for interpersonal risk-taking, or the corollary is a sense of confidence that the team will not embarrass, reject, or punish someone for speaking up. Now that we all understand, let's get back to why it's important. Looking behind me, you will see them in my makeshift home office or my basement where we have a furnace, a sump pump, a dust-ridden weight bench. It is much different than my normal cubicle surrounded by my colleagues. Knowing my team and E&H trust me to perform my job activities when away from the office really helps get through the more difficult times, especially when the sump pump has gone off for the 1,000th time. When working within our teams, we need to ensure we are allowing everyone's ideas to be expressed. And remember, it is perfectly fine to disagree with that idea while not belittling that person. Being open and honest is especially important now since we are doing many meetings over the phone and cannot see body language, well, depending on the meeting platform. An article that I read had a story where someone on a team made a mistake, sent an email saying that they would fix it, and then someone emailed back, ouch. They were really hurt by that comment, but because they felt comfortable with that team member, she responded and in 30-second interaction, dissolved the tension. What could have hurt the team chemistry for months was solved in mere seconds. Never be afraid to speak up if offended. More likely than not, someone is not trying to offend. Remember, the all-important foundational principle, more similar and different. I do not believe people try to offend on purpose and expect the same from others. The best part about this is you will grow as a team because you have enough trust to say those things. Speaking of trust, psychological safety does sound very familiar to another program we have done during the Leadership Journey, doesn't it? If you guessed the 5 dysfunctions of the team, you would be right. Because you are still following what we learned from that program, you are already practicing psychological safety. Personally, I find that psychological safety is ingrained in the Leadership Journey. And another article spoke about 4 quadrants of psychological safety. 1 is learner safety, where it's okay to ask questions. 2 is challenger safety, where it's okay to speak up, express ideas, and even challenge those ideas. 3 is collaborator safety, where we foster constructive debate and have open dialogue. Finally, 4 is inclusion safety, where you know you are valued and included regardless of position. This should remind you of the definition of leadership given us by Dr. Matt Chegkowski, thus strengthening the internalized principles and our path towards institutionalization. Understanding psychological safety is great because it is another term, adding to one of the 211 from Kit's other video, to ensure that we can all be on the same page with our terminology and, dare I say, become one E&H. Thank you.